Hey everyone, welcome back to Talk with Coach, the podcast where we deep dive into the realm of sales, leadership, and personal growth. I'm your host, Becca Goldsberry, an elite certified coach representing Southwestern Consulting. I am thrilled to embark on an insightful journey with you today with our amazing guest. Whether you are a seasoned professional aiming to sharpen your skills or an aspiring leader hungry for knowledge, this podcast is your compass to success. Join me as we explore the strategies, tactics, and mindset shifts necessary to thrive in the competitive landscape of sales and leadership. Get ready to unlock your potential, seize opportunities, and conquer challenges like never before. So buckle up and let's embark on this transformative voyage together. Welcome to Talk with Coach. So today, again, another amazing, guest. I only have people for all of you guys. So before I reveal who this person is, this person and I have met, has known each other for almost 7 years.
So long.
So long. And the cool part is I have loved watching him grow, not just professionally, but personally. I have seen this person grow his business exponentially. But the coolest part is the personal part, where I have seen him marry his amazing wife, Jenna. They have the cutest son, Odin. And if Odin and Thad would ever get together, it would be world domination.
It would be chaos in the best way possible.
In the best way possible. Thad would be playing guitar and Odin's playing the drums behind.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, with a new son on their way. So just to tell you a little bit about my guest, this is Nick Drouin. He is the CEO
Hello.
and head of Wealth Management Advisor of the Drouin Wealth Management Group at Northwestern Mutual. Nick specializes in working with established and emerging entrepreneurs, professional athletes, professional entertainers, real estate investors, tech executives, high performers in sales, and other self-made people. He says his favorite thing about what he does is helping someone realize what is possible.
Yes.
He loves to see the aha moment on someone's face. Personally, you will find Nick laughing and creating fun experiences to celebrate. A dog lover, a hiker, martial arts artist, fitness nuts, survivalist, reading junkie, and mead maker. If you guys don't know what mead is, it's honey wine. And
Right.
It's delicious.
The drink of the Vikings.
That's right.
And a lot of other cultures, but a lot of people know the Vikings.
The Vikings, yes. It is the Vikings thing. And Nick does not have an off switch, and I can contest to that. And then him and his wonderful wife, Jenna, they live in Amherst, New Hampshire with Odin. And I can't believe Buddy is 95 pounds.
He's huge.
Jeez.
Dog is huge. I love him dearly. He's a big boy.
He is. I was going to say, I remember when he was smaller than Alice.
Yeah. He's tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Well, Nick, I'm excited to have you on today because there's a topic that Nick and I always talk about that we're both so passionate about, and it's vision and mission and our purpose. But I think to get this thing started, Nick, what I would really love to ask you first is, as a business owner, as a financial advisor, what is the best advice that somebody has ever given you to grow your business?
Yeah, good question. And so it's funny, just before we get going, I don't know any of the questions that are going to be asked today.
I know.
So this is also fun for me. This was not like, super prepared or whatnot. So The best advice I ever got, though, was if you need to hire someone now, you needed them 6 months ago. Grow before you're comfortable. And that was from my dear friend, Jeff Atides, who unfortunately has passed on. It was always about being uncomfortable. You do not get to grow by being comfortable. There is no right time to do something. It's that you basically put your faith in the next step. You put your faith in God. You put your faith in where you're going, right? And you take the step. You do things before you're ready, right? You hire before you're ready to cut that paycheck. right? I always say, like, I get it. I've owned my business for, I've been in the financial planning industry for, 2 decades, over 2 decades. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I first started with my business, like, and hiring people, like, if you haven't put payroll on a credit card, or like, if you haven't like worried at night of how the heck are you going to hit payroll tomorrow, I would argue that maybe you haven't been an entrepreneur if you haven't worried about that at some point, right?
Yep.
And that's so I connect with people because I get it. I get that. It's hard. It's hard to be an entrepreneur. But the best advice is take that next step way before you think you're ready,
Mm-hmm.
because growth is uncomfortable and that's how it happens.
I remember the first time you hopped into coaching actually, and you're like, I am hopping in this earlier than I thought, and it
Mm-hmm.
scared me. I remember our very first call, you're like, this
Oh,
scares me, but Brent said it's going to be totally worth it. And man, that first stint where you were still going to the office
oh
in
man.
Manchester, like,
Mm-hmm.
and growing and figuring that out, I mean, and then see you where you are today, it's just the coolest thing.
And
Because
still
you're
got
right.
right, but still got a lot of growth to do, and you're just like you're never over. You're not over until it's over, until you sell your business or you walk away or you put in the ground, right? So like it's not over. There's always another thing to go do, and it's never like you arrive somewhere. We all have this great vision of arriving somewhere. Ah, if I just do this, then I'll be happy. If I just make this money, I'll be happy. And then you start doing it and you're like, wait a minute, what? I thought this was supposed to be all awesome when I got here. And it's like, no, you just traded your set of problems for another set of problems. They might be
Yeah,
better problems, but like they're still problems,
right.
right?
What do you say to your colleagues or people that you know that they're like, I don't need a coach. I'm already where I'm at. I don't need to learn more things or learn. I hear that a lot from like a lot of veterans. People have been in the business 25, 30, 35, 40 years. Why do I have a coach? I already know everything. And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Whoop,"
um,
like, do it.
I have my initial answer that I'm like, okay, if my buddy said, I don't think I need a coach, I'm gonna go, you're an idiot.
Yes.
That, like, plain and simple. And then if you're not my buddy and if we don't have that rapport, I might even still say you're an idiot. Go hire a coach. But I might say something more tactful, and I might say something like, well, you know what? There's two kinds of people. And there is the growth mindset and there's the fixed mindset. And ultimately, there's no moral connotation to either. But I think it was Grant Cardone that said it best. He goes, "Find a way to kill your business." And I might be misquoting somebody else, but I remember that phrase is find a way to kill your business. Because if you're not, somebody else is. Right. And
And
so if you can't put your current business in the ground by innovating and going to that next level, then somebody else is going to kill your business. Right. And a coach, a really good coach that makes you think strategically, think differently, think about the weak points, and then accentuate your strong points, way, way, way more valuable than whatever money you're paying them. You know what I mean? Like, way more valuable.
now that's what I appreciate about my coach because every time I'm on, I have my call right after this with you
Yep.
today because he's like, all right, I love how he stretches me and makes me think outside the box all the
Hmm.
time, right? And making sure I'm answering the deep questions.
Yeah, right. And it's like it's the accountability of it too. It's so, you know, we're our own worst critics and our like our easiest comforter sometimes because it's so easy to let ourselves off the hook.
Right.
If we say we want to go do something, I mean, everybody does New Year's resolutions. You know what I
Always.
mean? Like, a lot of people do New Year's resolutions. And then come February, it's like, how many of those have stuck? Not a lot. I don't know the exact math, but not a lot, right? And so
53%.
there you go, right? And so it's one of those things where it's, if you have somebody holding you accountable saying, hey, you know what? You said you were going to do this, and I don't care if you do it because you said it was important to you. And so what kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be the kind of person who makes commitments and backs away from them? Or do you want to be the kind of person who does what they say they're going to do? Because either one of those is okay. It's your life. You get to choose. But having
Hmm.
that reminder of somebody kind of attacking that mindset of not letting you be less than your potential, standing for, the possibility of who you said you would become. Like, it's
Yeah.
very easy to let ourselves off the hook.
Isn't
Not
it?
so easy when we make commitments to other people.
No, and I think that's where integrity comes into
Totally.
play too, right? Is
Totally.
if I say, if I tell Thad something and I don't do it, oh, I'm reminded of it. Odin's probably the same way now, right?
Hmm.
If I say something to a client, or if I say, "Hey Nick, I'll do something for you," and if I don't do it, you're going to text or email me going, "Hey, where's my stuff? Where's
Right?
my stuff?" Right? It comes back to integrity.
I've coached some of the younger folks in the business before, and I've even challenged them. I've said, "Hey, what's going to really drive your business to that next level?" And they say, whatever the metric is. And I'll say, "Okay, great. So how do we break that down per month or per week or per day? All the normal stuff." And then I'll say, "All right, cool. What happens if you don't hit it?" And then they'll go, "What do you mean?" I go, "Well, there's carrot and stick, right? We know the carrot is you're going to get all these fabulous things if and when you do what you say you're going to do. So what's the stick?" And a lot of times they'll say something like, "I don't know." They're kind of going to hem and haw over something small. "I don't know. I'll pay my buddy $50." It's like, no, no. How about, like, I had one guy that I was coaching one time, and he goes, "Every Friday, my family goes out for ice cream in the summer." And I go, "Cool. How old's your kid?" And his kid was 5 or 6 at the time, maybe a little older, 7, but not much older. Excuse me. And I said, "Okay, you don't hit your commitment, no ice cream for the kid." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "How badly do you want this? I don't care if you get ice cream or not. I'm not gonna, and if you go get ice cream and you like lie to me that you didn't get ice cream, like, I'll never know." It's not about that. It's about, are you going to be the person who does what they say they're going to do? And if you fail in a week or you give up on yourself, do you want to go to your 6-year-old kid and say, "Sorry,
No,
Daddy's not going for ice cream with you this week. In fact, we can't get ice cream because I said that I wouldn't." Like that's a gut punch, right? And so, it's not a matter of weaponizing somebody's family. At least this is not my opinion. I don't want to weaponize somebody's family. I don't care if they go get ice cream or not. Like, I want them to stand in what they said they wanted to do. And then it's like, well, how do you motivate somebody to do the uncomfortable things? You make the pain of not doing it so much greater than the fact of doing it, you
one of
know?
my favorite. Do you remember one of my favorite challenges?
For me specifically?
Yeah, for you
Yeah,
specifically.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember several challenges that you've given me before. Yeah,
absolutely. I think one of the funnest was
yeah,
with you and Kerwin.
yeah, yeah. And we had the award going back and forth. It was great. It was great.
I, I was going to say, how many comments did you get from your guys' clients asking, "What is this ugly award all about?"
So
Like,
it's funny. The award was in our back offices. It wouldn't be clients necessarily that would, like, ask about it, but it would be our other colleagues, like, in the office, being like, "What the heck is that?" And then having to tell them that, like, "Oh yeah, it's because I didn't hit my commitment last week, or because Kerwin beat me on the commitment last week, or whatnot." Like, then I've got this ugly award, like, hanging out that everybody and it's not a very flattering award, by the
no,
way. It wasn't like a trophy to be honored. It was an award that makes people go, "What the heck is that?" Right? And so yeah, I remember
okay,
that.
share with everybody, what did it look like, because it was atrocious.
So, so the way I remember it, it was the can I say Jackass Award on the
Yeah,
podcast, right? So
yep.
yeah, so it was the Jackass Award, and it was a horse's ass on the award, and so it was this gold horse with this wooden base, and it said the Jackass Award on it, and so it just got passed back and forth if we didn't hit our commitment, meaning, like, if Andrew Kerwin beat me on something, then it would go to me, right? And it would hang out there for about a week or two, and it was a badge of shame and pride at the same time, and it in a way it conditions you. If you can find more things like that, where, like, we take failure so often as this monumental thing. It's like, "Oh man, we can't laugh about failure." Absolutely.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
failure is part of the success process, right? It is not the opposite. It is part of success. So many people are so scared of failure, and if you can humanize it and make it fun, like, make failure fun. We don't want to fail, but, like, it's okay. And
Right.
so make it fun, and it starts to put calluses on what you're, like, on your, I don't want to say calluses on your soul, but it's calluses on your emotions of, like, I'm just going to drive ahead, like, full steam ahead. Like, Yeah, I had a crappy week last week, and yeah, I got the Jackass Award, and I didn't live up to my full potential last week. But you know what? Now I got this ugly ass award sitting there looking at me. And you know what? I'm going to do better this week because there's no way I'm going to keep this award in my office.
No.
You
Whatever
know,
happened to that award, by the way?
I think Kerwin still has it. I'm not exactly sure. I think he still got it. I think he still got
Gosh, Kerwin, if you're watching this, post a picture
it.
of it in the comments below.
That's right. That's right.
That's awesome. I love it. So, how do you, with all of the ups and downs of the market, of being a business owner, all of the things, how do you stay motivated through tough times in your business?
Good question. And there are tough times. I mean, I'm in a very stressful industry, right? I go back to mission first and foremost as the why of what we do, right? And my mission is to help people live longer, more peaceful lives. Like that is why we exist: longer, richer, more peaceful lives. Um, and there's also this idea of helping somebody realize what's possible, right? So I love helping, and this is not just in like the day to day of business, but also like in coaching my team and running my team, like helping them understand what's possible. Helping, I talked with Jenna a few weeks back, and I'm like, you know what? What my goal is in life is to like help Odin and our family have a life that nobody else really gets to live because they didn't think it possible.
Mhm.
And that's more than that's not like just money in the bank, right? Money only gets you so far, right? You could still be miserable crying in a Maybach. You know what I mean? Like it's only going to get you so far. So, but it's like living the life of integrity, living the life with values that not a lot of people ever think is possible, right? And
Mhm.
like having that kind of set in stone with like who you are. So I go back to motivation. I go back to my kind of why I do things. I go back to like why we exist as a firm, why I'm here. I'm a Christian and I pray. I pray that things will be okay. I hope, I pray that God and Jesus takes my problems and then
Right.
gives me more problems because they're never going to take them away to take them away. They're going to take them away and give me bigger problems. Big
Yep.
people solve big problems, right? Um, so I have a lot of faith. I try to stay grounded. I'm human, but I try to stay grounded in the now. Um, I do a lot of meditation and kind of and being present, whether that's prayer or otherwise, of just kind of going in the mental mind and starting to figure things out. And then I go back to vision. Like
Mm.
it's very simple for me, believe it or not. It's like go back to the why you do something,
Yep.
right? Know that things will be okay, right? Put faith in a higher power for myself. Um, and then go back to what are you trying to build, the vision. So I'll go back to Jenna's and my vision. We have a written vision that we want to accomplish, and we have a business vision for what I want to accomplish with the business. I go back to those to say, how are we doing?
Mm.
And if I ever get a call from a client, or if I get an upset person, which rarely happens, by the way, I feel very, very lucky that that rarely happens. Um, but if I have a bad day because of some reason, I'm like, you know what? Let's think about where we're going. Does this bad day derail that vision at all? And up to this point, nothing's derailed those visions. Nothing's derailed that person that I am. Nothing's derailed what we want to build for the family and what we want to deliver to clients and how we do it. And so that's where I try to stay grounded. I try to stay grounded in the it's okay to have bad days and it doesn't detract from where we're going. Right?
Yeah, I love it.
It's
So what?
necessary actually. So
Uh, it's more than necessary. It's like
hmm
essential.
yeah,
Like, um, there's that saying where without vision, people perish,
totally.
right?
hmm
That's in the Bible.
Yep.
So
Yep.
if it's in Proverbs, it's pretty much God written right there.
Yep.
So, right?
Yep.
So, along those lines, what steps did you take to like, because I know you've got your vision board and that your vision is
hmm
aligned with like your day-to-day actions
hmm
and even the mission statement that you guys created
Yeah.
for in the company.
Yeah, so I'm a big vision board guy. Um, I'm a kinesthetic learner, and so if I can't touch my goal, or if I can't touch something and feel something and do something, it's hard for me to learn. And so I can't touch and feel the future. It's impossible. You know what I mean? So like having
Right.
that vision board is my second best thing to start really figuring out what do I want. And even on a lighter note, I recommend this to everybody. Somebody asked me the other day. They go, "Hey Nick, can you please teach my husband how to dress?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "He's a good looking dude, and he's got his stuff together." She goes, "No. Every time you come in, like you're well presented, and you're like you've got the looks down." And I'm like, I gotta be honest with you, none of this is me. And she's like, "Is it your wife?" And I go, "None of this is Jenna." Like literally it's just, hey, I'm going to go on the internet, I'm going to search for something I like and find that outfit. So like having that small vision board of like, this are the things that I like. Oh yeah, I'm going to go wear that suit, I'm going to
Yeah.
go wear that style, right? Is a small microcosm of, okay, let's put the vision board together because this is what we're going, these are the things that we're ordering in life,
Mm.
right? If I order something from Amazon, I can track it. And I don't have to second guess if it's coming to me or not. It's already coming to me. Like it's Amazon. Yeah, for the most part, right? Every once in a while it gets a little bit wonky, but then again, like there are no mistakes. So long story short, like the vision board acts as my future Amazon kind of delivery, if you will, only not from Amazon. It's like what's the Nick delivery creating here? So I'm a big vision board guy. And then as far as the company goes, that was really interesting. So we are in a sea of competition. You know what I mean? Like I've got my
Yeah.
specialty, I've got advisors with their specialties and whatnot, but like we are in a sea of competition. The financial planning world is like there's vast arrays of salespeople and asset managers and planners, and then and private equity and there's everybody out there. So long story short, we came together as a team a few years back, and I said, "Hey, what do we stand for?" Right? I know what I stand for, but what do we stand for as a group? And the team at the time was kind of like, "What do you mean?" Right? Like, what do you mean? What do we stand for? We're kind of like we're doing a job, right? Like we're driving for new clients, we're bringing in new clients, and like we're go go go, right? That's right. And I'm like, yeah, but not really. Like, what do we want to be as a firm? I want to have an enduring firm that lasts for generations. Like, what does that look like? And so what we ultimately started with was, and I also said to them, how do we know our true north? Like, how do we know if the decisions that we're making, not from a necessarily financial planning standpoint, because there's always ethics in financial planning, and
Oh,
some of it's a little ambiguous. So how do we go a level deeper of how do we know, like, how do we judge ourselves on our decisions every day? How do we hold each other accountable? Right? What are the things we hold each other accountable to?
mm.
So we started to have these kind of deep discussions as a team, and I assigned a vision, or excuse me, I assigned a values exercise, and it's a very simple exercise. It's a list of values and their definitions, and you pick three. Now, a lot of the times I've had consultants or whatnot do that exercise, and they kind of like leave it at, yeah, you pick three, and this person picks three, and this person picks three, and isn't it cool to see how different you are, how similar you are? And I was like, that's not where I want to go with this. So what we
Yeah.
did is we did that exercise, and then in a group format, we started to discuss around why we've got those values, right? And so we wanted the why of the values more than the value itself. And so, if you think about like integrity and honesty, that's a good example of kind of how two things can be pretty similar, but they mean different things, right?
Yeah.
We had a member of our team really value integrity. I value integrity almost above everything else. And the other person had honesty on it. And we had this conversation around, are they different? Are they similar? And it came back into some stories around like how they could be similar from before. And from before in these people's timelines, or in their past. And what we settled on was that they were both looking for really the same thing. They really were. They were looking for the same thing, but they both had different ways to describe it. So going a values system and like just describing the values weren't enough. We wanted to start to describe how those values show up.
Mm.
right? So it's not just enough to have integrity. What does integrity mean, right? It means we do what's right even when it's hard. That's integrity, right? You
That's
do what's
important.
right when it's hard, right? And integrity is easy when you're, when you're, sorry if I cut out there. Integrity is easy when things are easy.
Yeah.
Everybody's got integrity when things are easy. When things are hard, that's when the chips are down. Like, you got to make sure that you're coming to the table knowing who you are, that you are full, perfect, and complete, that you are able to stand in the truth of something and have it be okay. And if you messed up, say you messed up and take ownership,
Mm.
right? It's huge, 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 huge.
Well, and I was going to say ownership. Like, let's talk like taking ownership. And
Mm-hmm.
there's, I think we all come across, especially if you're in sales or own your own business or a
Mm-hmm.
leader, because a lot of times, how many times have we all been working with somebody, leaving messages, they won't call you back, they're avoiding you like a plague,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Yep.
Like, all you want is just call me back. Like,
That,
you can tell me no, like, let's just have a conversation. I think that ownership, I've noticed in the sales world,
mm-hmm.
it's really becoming, I don't say an issue or a problem, but it kind of is.
Well,
I mean,
it's like, I think it starts with the person, and of course it does, but it starts with the person who's chasing the prospect or the client or whatnot.
yeah,
What do they think about their time? What do they think about how valuable they are? And if the tables were turned, if a client called me and I wasn't calling them back, isn't that weird? Like,
yeah,
wouldn't that client be ticked, right? And so first and foremost, we set up policies for how quickly we get back to our clients, and we tell our clients about the policies. But also, we also have an agreement with our clients of like, hey, if we call you, it's going to be important.
right.
So we ask that you also stick to getting back to us within 24 hours. And
Hmm.
do I have your permission to challenge you on that if for some reason you're not getting back to me? Because that would be a condition of still being a client, is that you get back to us,
Yeah.
right? And if somebody says, nah, I'm terrible with my phone and blah, 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 it's like, we have to have a really serious conversation on, are we going to be your exception or not? And I don't say that to sound, because that might come across as arrogant or whatnot. I don't mean it as arrogance. I mean it as, I'm not looking to stress my client or the professional or the vendor out or whatnot. I'm looking
Amen.
to work to find synergy in the ways that we work here and the types of clients who appreciate that and the types of people who appreciate that, right? So it's not necessarily it's not a I'm held here and I'm holding you here and you must do this. It's a no, is this a natural fit or not, or are we going to stress each other out and hate each other,
Yeah.
right? And
And
a lot
nobody
of the
will.
sales world is just chasing, and I'm like, don't
Yeah.
find somebody else, find somebody else, find somebody else, find somebody else.
Because how many times do people get stuck in the maybe world, right? And
Totally.
they get frustrated in the whole nine yards.
There should
So,
always be a follow up, right? And so, and
right,
not to talk over you, but this is something that I'm actually pretty passionate about. Shouldn't say actually, I'm passionate about it. It's like talking with some of the newer advisors who come in and whatnot. I do a talk called "What's Your Time Worth," and really, it's just a business talk. It's got little to nothing to do with the financial planning world, but it's how to think of yourself in correlation with your clients and how to start understanding how your cash flow needs to work, start understanding the types of people you need to be around in order to support your cash flow, and how to know like the in or the outs and have a respectful conversation of in or out, like with somebody all along the way from day one,
mm,
right? Like with a potential prospect from day one, in or out. And I do this stuff by default now, but it's not really like trained, because like if you're in a sales role at any company, it's like just you work for that sale, you work for that sale, you work for that sale, you work for that new business, you work, like, you call and follow up and follow up and follow up and follow up, and it's like, no, is there a better way? Instead of waiting for somebody to call me back, and I've called them 10 times and I've got it on my like case open list that like, or my whatever, I'm kind of out of the jargon, but like
yeah,
got it on their list of like, oh, this might close, and then China egging it of like, this might close in the next quarter. No, get them off and go somewhere else that wants what you do. Don't
They're
China
out
egg.
there.
So yeah, there's so many people out there. And the state of America with what we do here, like is like the opportunity is staggering. No one client should ever make or break your business.
Oh, and how many times have we both seen that
I
in
know.
both of our worlds?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I
So,
got colleagues who are like, who manage some good amount of money, and they've got like one client that makes up like half their book or 60% of their book. And I'm like, dude, you're out of your mind. Like, what happened? Right? And they're expanding and they're doing, and I'm like, great, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. But are you betting the success of your business on one client? Because one client should never make or break your business. My
so
opinion.
absolutely. So dangerous.
Right.
Right? It's like what all good financial planners say, diversify.
Right. Right. Totally. Right.
Spread the wealth. Spread the wealth, guys. Spread the
There
wealth.
you go. There you go.
So how do you guys keep your mission front and center with the team daily, weekly, monthly? What's that look like for you guys?
So, there have been times, and I'm human, right? And I'm leading a company. And so there's nothing perfect that I do. Meaning
Okay.
like there's no time that like I'm not perfect all the time. And I'm certainly not perfect. Yeah. I'm more imperfect than I'm not in a good way.
Aren't we all?
Right? So we're human. So what I realized, like, so we were like on our Monday morning meetings. Every Monday morning we have a full team meeting, right? And that's everybody. That's the advisors, that's support staff, that's planners, that's like everybody, admin. And so we all get together and we talk about the state of the business. We talk about what's going on. And, these might be like management meetings, like in a traditional company, that might be just management meetings. They're not, because all of my team comes in. And it used to be like 6 months ago, we got so caught up in like what's happening with this client and what are we doing about this, and let's talk about like the cases going on. And it became this thing where we still had our mission, but we lost the sense of a little bit of the sense of like what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
It became more about business than it was the mission for a little time. And God love her, my COO Samantha Higgins came to me and she goes, "Hey, I think we kind of lost sight of the mission a little bit." And I was like, "Really?" Because again, I'm just driving the business. I'm like, let's go, right? And I'm like, and that's something I care about. So I'm like, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah, I think the team needs to be reminded of why we do what we do."
Mm.
And, hire good people and then listen to them is another thing that I got long ago given to me for advice. Hire good people and listen to them. And Simon Sinek calls it being the idiot in the room, which I'm all for. I'm happy to be the idiot in the room because that means I'm in a really smart room. So the thought process there is like, listen to my COO. She's like, "I think we need to refocus on the mission and talk about why we do what we do." I'm like, heard it, got you. And so the next Monday morning meeting, I asked Samantha, I go, "Hey, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should start?" And she goes, "Let's start by taking a look at the mission again and reading and talking about what that means." And I go, "You know what? Why don't we start with reading the mission and then talking about how it's affected our clients?" Because my clients will tell me really nice things about the team, and I get emails from our clients, and I'm terrible about sharing it. It's not because I don't want to. I'm a very like black and white ADHD guy. Like I'm driving forward, like with the business, and I just sometimes forget to acknowledge I'm human, right? And so
Yep.
we made it a point to, on Mondays now, start talking through the mission, remind everybody of why we're doing, and how does that apply to the people that we're working with. So we take either things that our clients or vendors or like somebody in the business world has said about us, or celebrating a team member, or talking through the non-financial parts of a client plan. Like, how do we impact them? What did they say about this? How are what we doing allowing them to live their life in this certain way? Right? What's the impact that we had? We just went through tax time a few months ago. What's the impact that some of our recommendations had on taxes? You know what I mean? Like, how did we actually make an impact? and reminding the team of that. And so to answer your questions, how do we stay focused on it? Like everything, it will ebb and flow. But first and foremost, have really good people around you that will tell you when you stop focusing on it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like the people who are in your corner that are like not gonna BS you. They're gonna tell you how it really is, right? And then listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you can hire them and not listen. I've seen it all. I work with entrepreneurs all the time. Sometimes you hire somebody to do a really great job. They're super smart, and then you don't listen to them. It's like, what are you doing?
Amen. Yeah.
Right? So hire them, listen to them, right? And then make it part of the kind of daily operation or the weekly operation, or, you know, make it your true north. If it's important, I mean, like praying is like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth once and hope that you never get a cavity, right?
Unless
daily prayer or weekly prayer, like, you know what I mean? Like it's however often you do it, it's more than once. And it's the same thing with mission and vision for me. It's that make sure that you're doing it often, that you're talking about it. So
I love that. Can you share, like, as you've been doing that the last few weeks,
yeah,
what's like one of the coolest thing that you guys saw, you know, without giving the client away, right? Like,
so and so and anybody in the financial planning world knows that there's compliance and all this sort of stuff. So I can't actually, without clearing it with the powers that be, I probably can't even say a client story, but I can tell you how it's affected the team.
Love it. Let's do it.
Right. And so I would love to tell a client story. I'm thinking like 3 right now, but here's the thing. The team, when we started to do that, the buy-in from the team just like immediately re-engaged. Right? Because they're here for a paycheck, don't get me wrong, but they're not here just for a paycheck. Right? If you hate what you're doing every day, go do something else. The money is everywhere. You can go find more money doing something else. Love what you do every day. You don't have to be top dog CEO. You don't have to be a big entrepreneur. You don't have to be, you know, Elon Musk. You don't have to be, you know, if what you're doing makes you happy and makes an impact, then it's noteworthy. Right? And so just seeing the re-engagement from the team of like this is why we're here. Oh, and we want to do really well for ourselves, but we really want to make an impact. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we all want to get paid really well, but it's like that will only carry you so far. Absolutely. When you start to see people lighting up and re-engaging and talking about how you've affected clients, you know what I mean? Like that is real. That is real. And all the money in the world, you could be a billionaire, but you can be miserable at the end of the day if you're not actually having any impact.
You know? I have friends, family, and you can tell they don't absolutely love what they do.
Yep.
And, you know, somebody's like, well, how do you bring that up with them? And I just ask them, I don't know about you, Nick, but I just ask them, like, are you happy? And they're like, well, it's a paycheck, and kind of like the people I work with. And I was like, what would make you completely happy? Well, what's your biggest passion? And those people typically don't know what their passion is, what truly makes them happy. So I don't know about you. My advice is find some clarity on your mission.
Total. You know what? And Stoic philosophy will also talk about, I'm a big Stoic guy too. So, so Stoic philosophy will also talk about basically honoring your hobbies. Meaning like your vocation does not define you. Make sure you are spending time doing your hobbies. Make sure you have time away. Make sure that you are, if you love to paint, go paint. Nothing should stop you from doing your hobbies. We always put these hobbies in the background, but like not everybody gets to do a hobby full time for their job. And that's okay, right? But you also still need to honor the things that light you up, right? And so yeah, I mean, I get to know my clients very intimately. Like they tell me and my team things that you would think that they wouldn't tell anybody, right? So we ask a lot of questions. Like I won't go too deep into the process, but like I ask a lot of questions when I'm starting to get to know somebody. It's not just what's on the balance sheet. It's like, I want to know what kind of person you are, what you care about, what's in your heart, where are you going, what's your vision? I mean, a lot of this vision talk I have with my clients too.
That's right.
And so I just go for the throat. When it's like, if I'm getting the sense of like somebody's doing it for the money, I'm like, when are you stopping? Because it sounds to me like you're miserable. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they're like, well, no, I'm not really miserable. And I'm like, are you? Like, I'm not judging you. I just want to know. Right? Oh, no, I'm just doing it for the money for the next few years. Okay. Yeah, all right. So when are we stopping? What's that endpoint look like for you? You know, like let's start to talk about a life that you want to live, not the one that you feel like you have to.
Right. I love that. So
Right?
I've got two questions for
Sure.
you. On that note, what legacy do you hope to leave behind through your vision, mission, and purpose?
It's a great question. And I think about it, there's two things. One is more physical in nature, and one is more, I'll call it esoteric, right? So it's a little bit out there. So um, for me, the physical nature of the legacy is going to be the firm. This firm I want this firm to exist much longer than I am. Whether I go in the ground in a week from now or, 100 years from now, right? This firm I want to carry on because this firm's going to make an impact to a lot of people. And it's not the Nick Drouin show. You know what I mean? It's not the Nick Drouin show. I don't want it to be the Nick Drouin show. Don't get me wrong. I love what we do. I love doing this, but it can't just be about me. It's not. That's why we have a bigger mission. That's why we have a large team to help service our clients and whatnot. So long story short, so one is the firm. At some point, I will not be here anymore, and I'm very aware of that. So I'm hyper focused. When it's business time, it's all about how do I grow the firm so that if I'm on an island for a year, firm continues.
That's right.
Right? And I don't mean like I'm on an island like retired. I mean like Castaway Tom Hanks style. You know what I mean? Because if I'm working, yeah. Like I'm working, right? I'm not going to be retired. I'm not retiring for a long time. I love what I do. So that's kind of the physical one, and then the more esoteric one, and this goes back to what I was like talking about with Jenna a couple of weeks ago. I have a list of things. Like, I think we're up to like 50 things that if I died today, they're a list of things for my sons, for my kids, life lessons that I want them to know that I was either never taught or I learned later that could have like put me on a different trajectory. Right. Mm-hmm. And you can, and I have two sons, so you can apply this to any kids. But I thought about this idea the other day, and like maybe 6 months, a year ago, I say the other day, but 6 months, a year ago. And I'm like, if I'm gone tomorrow, how does Odin know his dad? Mm-hmm. And it just hit me. Like, I get emotional thinking about it. It just hit me. And I was like, I want him to know me no matter what. And I want the lessons that I want to teach him to be ironclad and in stone, no matter what. And so the legacy to me is raising Odin and now my second son, and who knows if we're going to have like more kids later, but raising my kids in a way where they get to experience what's possible and help other people realize what's possible no matter what they do with their lives. Right? Help other people realize what's possible. It's not about you. It's about other people. Help other people. No matter what vocation you get into, no matter what life you want to lead, it's about other people. And so help them understand. So those are my two legacies.
That's beautiful, friend. I love that.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, my last fun question that I always end, and I always ask everybody, so what is the funniest story you can share with us about you growing up?
I'll give you two, and because the first one's really quick. So okay. I was a kid who was overweight, and I'm not like fat shaming anybody, don't get me wrong, but like I was a kid who was overweight. And we didn't know about nutrition. We didn't know anything about that. And so I was like obsessed with food when I was a kid. There's great pictures of me in Boy Scouts where like I'm doing like an obstacle course and like my belt, like my shirt's over my belly and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like belly's hanging out.
Yeah.
And I say that with great love for my past self and anybody who's been in that situation. Um,
Yeah.
so my first story is I was probably 6, maybe 5 years old. I was young. And my dad got this gift certificate to this really, really fancy restaurant in town. And we did not grow up with money. We were not like we were relatively like we were poor growing up, like on the lower side of middle class poor. And so
Okay.
we never went out to a nice dinner. My parents didn't have a nice steak until like Father's Day this year when I cooked it for them. When I brought over fillets. That was like the first time. And so to paint the picture. So we get to this nice fancy restaurant. I'm 5, my sisters are older. I have 2 older sisters, and my mom and dad are around the table. And they're all ordering all their stuff. And then and if you ever ask my sisters this story, they'll laugh too. I look at the menu and I go, at the top of my lungs, I go, they have grilled cheese, yes! And like just screamed like, and the whole restaurant, like it's like you could hear like a pin drop. Everybody drops their forks and like looks over. It's like out of a movie, like a record scratches. And
Right.
and it's still to this day is what is like a meme in my family. We go somewhere and my sister Tina will be like, "Hey Nick, they got grilled cheese," and I'm like, of course, right? Um, so that's the really kind of like the funny one. There's so many more. I do want to ask about this. I want to talk about the swimmer's badge real quick though, because that's
Yeah.
the right.
Dude.
Right. When I was older, I was around, I think I was around 10, 11. I was in Boy Scouts. Um, and so all of my friends, we went to this place called Hidden Valley. And Hidden Valley's on the water, beautiful spot. We got to do archery, got to do everything like outdoorsy. And keep in mind, I was not a very healthy kid. Like I was still like, overweight. And so all of my friends, there's different qualifications for the lake. There's like hey, anybody can be here because it's 1 foot of water. And then there's like hey, you kind of need to know what you're doing, but you can stand up. Like it's hard to drown in this spot. And then there's the
Right.
deep spot, which is like 8, 10 feet and drop off and whatnot. And that's where the swimmer's badge goes. All of my friends on the first day made swimmer's badge. And I didn't. And I remember thinking to myself, why can't I do this? But luckily, they let me try the next day too. I said, okay, great, next day. It's a week-long camp. Next day, I try again. Fail again. And I remember writing home and being like, I don't know if I can do this. And my dad was with me. He was one of the folks that was there, like watching the kids and whatnot, like chaperoning. And he goes, just try again. Do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And on the third day, I'm exhausted, by the way, because the swimmer's badge was like swimming back and forth, treading water, like nothing to like a kid who's like in shape probably, if you're a good swimmer or whatnot. But like I was not. I'm what David Goggins calls negative buoyant or whatnot. Like, you know what I mean? Like right? So I fought through that third day. I was dreading it. I was dreading it all through lunch, couldn't eat anything. I didn't want to be embarrassed again. I had all this thought process around like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? I'm not cut out for this. Like, I'm going to be fat the rest of my life also went through my head, right? Not very healthy things for a young kid to think. And on that final day, I said, I'm determined. I'm determined to do it. And by the grace of God, I don't know how I found the energy to do it. Because I didn't fail originally by like a little bit. I failed a lot of it. Like it was like in the first round of like just going from here to here, I failed. But in the third day, I was able to get it. And again, makes me emotional.
Yeah.
I got it that third day. And I remember going back to my tent that night and just being so proud that like I didn't give up. And I think that all of us have that swimmer's badge moment in our lives where we've got the choice to give up and walk away and nobody's going to say anything about it because you tried, or we rise again one more time and we do everything possible to get it done. And it doesn't matter what gets in our way, we get it done. And we have that decision point in our life that's going to dictate where you go with the rest of your life. And I think about I call my swimmer's badge moments as I go through my business. If I'm facing something big, I'm like, this is a swimmer's badge moment. What can I do? Right? Yeah. And so those are the one funny story and one very like emotional story.
It's bringing back trauma like in some of my childhood too. And I'm like, yep.
Right?
We all have them.
We've all got it, right? We've all got this something in us that, or something we've experienced in the past that has broken us or almost broken us.
That's right.
Right? And guess what? There's probably not just one. There's probably quite a bit of them. And that's okay. Right? Yeah. That's okay. But it's the decisions that we make. If we can have just the presence to realize, well, wait a minute. What am I going to let this mean? What am I going to let this do to me? Am I willing to rise above this? And then just like getting it done. That's the decision point that needs to be made. And just get out there and do it. Right? And so I think about my swimmer's badge moments all the time. So
I love that.
And I hope that's helpful for somebody out there that might be going through something right now that they're like, I don't know if I can do it. I've been failing so much at it. I've been like getting kicked down. Just one more, just one more, just one more. Just try again. Try again. Try again.
Fail forward.
That's right.
Keep going. Oh, friend, I have loved having you on here.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you. Thank you for being on. So everybody, this wraps up another empowering episode of Talk with Coach. I hope you found today's insights valuable and actionable. Remember, growth is a journey and every step forward counts. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and Spotify. And I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, questions, topics. And Andrew Curran, if you're out there, we want to picture up the trophy. So until next time, keep striving for greatness, keep pushing your limits, and remember your success story is waiting to be written. This is Becca Goldsberry signing off. Take care and make it a blessed day.
Yeah.